I recently was brought out to New York to try out a video game that's not usually my style. It's not usually my speed, but I like pizza. So I thought, let's go get some Joe's. That's been my go-to the last few times and go try out this game. And that game was Transport Fever 3. Yes, I got my fill of pizza, and then they brought us on an old school trolley, let us fly a helicopter around New York. I got some interesting footage of the city. That was a lot of fun. And I got to play the game for about 30 minutes. Overall, Transport Fever 3, it's this transportation game where you can build cities and solve problems within those cities. It's definitely like one of those world building games. And they do have a campaign mode where you can jump into the campaign and go through basically like a tutorial type system, but with a little bit of storytelling to drive you through the narrative. One of the things that was hardest for me to conceptualize, I don't play a lot of these game types, but they were very gracious and they showed me how to do the basics, was connecting the lines. For some reason, I was having a hard time with the line system. And what you do is you basically select your points of interest and then you buy the vehicle, and then the vehicle will go to the locations of interest. And that took me a little bit to figure out. So my impressions of the game, like, I'm interested. It's not usually my cup of tea. I do like sim type games. So I will say I do kind of enjoy that they had a story mode where you could experience a few stories. So that was that. It seemed like largely the trip was about the experience of going to New York and showing off the helicopter ride and letting us experience the game. So that was nice. And, you know, the travel and the hotel was covered, just full disclosure there. But yeah, I don't really know what my takeaway about the game is, if I'm being totally honest. I don't feel like the one part of the whole event was the actual game time. And I was on a little bit of a tightened schedule, to be fair, because I had to get back home for Valentine's Day. The actual game time could have been a little bit longer. They held it in an old train station, so there were a limited amount of machines, and in order for everybody to play, they were trying to cycle people out to go do the helicopter ride and then come back and then actually play the game. At one point, I came back to my station and just another person was just there. So I grabbed my coffee that was there and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm done playing the game for the evening. So logistics wise, there were some definitely some challenges, but the game seems intriguing. I did also have a great interview that I'm going to pair with this video so that I can say that I did some Transport Fever 3 coverage for y'all. And actually, I thought the interview was really refreshing. I look extra fat in my jacket, so enjoy that moment where I look super handsome. We'll just say that, okay? And I'll let you enjoy it for yourself. But I wanted to give you context to the event and let you know what I got to see and do while I was there, and hopefully put some B-roll of the fancy helicopter ride that I can check off my bucket list now. And here's my interview with the developer.
Nico, we're here, Transport Fever 3. What's your role in the title?
I'm the publishing manager, so to make it very simple, I'm responsible for bringing the game into the world. That's right.
One thing that I don't think people realize is just how big a game like this is, these sim games where you build whole worlds. If you go to Gamescom or you're ever to Gamescom, Farming Simulator is massive there. You have all these transportation-focused games, Transport Fever being one of them. What do you think it is about this genre that just captures this massive audience people might not realize?
Probably several reasons. One of them might be, I don't know, that I think just like engine, vehicles, transport is just always been a topic that a lot of people are very interested in, and just like a bit of a nerdy topic in positive ways, I believe. And I think it's also just a part of I feel that more and more we have these games resurfacing that are more about you actually calming down and doing something that is in a bit slower pace than, I don't know, playing shooter games or whatever. Both are very, very have valid reasons. But I believe it's just more and more coming all the time that you might just want to calm down a bit after a hard day at work. Maybe it's something with that as well. And probably with boys are just being boys. And if there is an engine, then we're a fan of it. I don't know.
You've probably played these games a ton, way more than I have. I'm a novice compared to you. What's like a big achievement for you when you start out and progress to the highest level of gameplay?
In Transfer Fever 2, it has always been on the hardest difficult settings to actually earn money, which I've failed plenty of times. For Transfer Fever 3, I would say having no issues in terms of having all cities somewhat satisfied. That's very satisfying to me. I think I haven't reached a stage where everything was perfect. I think, but that doesn't exist because it's constantly evaluating, constantly evolving. But yeah, I would say that's probably the best so far in terms of just simple gameplay.
You've added a campaign mode. There's like a Woodstock-ish thing. The what? I appreciated the nods for dodging copyright infringement. You also had like an old-timey Bubba Gump go get the shrimp style thing that you're building out. How do you think that's going to go over with newer players or players like easing their way into the game for the first time?
So first, it's important to tell an entertaining story that also I don't want to say moves people in a way, but that sticks with you, right? And at the same time, to explain the gameplay mechanisms and especially the new systems and the new features that we have. And I think it's just done in the best way if you're entertained doing so. So that's why we thought, what stories could we tell that haven't been told 700 times before, but that are still somewhat connected to transport and have some roots in the actual history? I mean, as you said, we did some creative things. We took some creative freedoms out of it. But I believe overall it is events that you might have heard of, that you maybe have a positive connection to, and you can now help make them happen, which is, I think, is a cool thing to do.
What are some others that you're excited to see the player experience?
In terms of campaigns,
Yeah.
cannot tell you too much about that, but I'm really looking forward for the last mission, which has something to do with space and the countdown and the ticking countdown. And I'm a Christopher Nolan fan in terms of movies,
Yeah.
and there's always the clock ticking down.
Yeah.
And there might be something similar in that. So that's surely gonna be one. But I would say overall, it's just that every mission feels really different to the one before, as exact opposite to what it was like in Transfer Fever 2. And I think that actually all of them are likely to stick with you for a few days. And I think then we reach their goal.
Transitioning to wider industry topics, you have your lane in world simulations and traffic building and micromanaging these incredible spaces that you've purchased or you've built and purchased in the game and constructed. Where do you see the industry is making a mistake in some of the other genres? Like, what could they do to have the same success your genre has?
That's a very good question. There's many answers to that, and I don't know if I'm in the perfect position to answer them. But if I was to, I would say that one of the things is surely that we have lost a bit the focus of what players actually want. It's a lot about what investors want, or what, I don't know. Let's even call it, nobody's been screaming for the 27th edition of something usually. It's just we want to be entertained. We want to see creative, good ideas. We want studios to focus on what is working, but not what is financially working, what is actually satisfying players. And I feel like the most important thing about the whole thing, which is the player, is getting forgotten about sometimes because there's a lot of other stakeholders. And I think one of the reasons why we are able to do what we do in such a scale and style as we do it is because we really listen to what our community wants. And we also know that a lot of the things that we are able to do in terms of doing such a big scale game is thanks to the community as well. And it's just, we also want to give back in some ways. And I believe that this is something that a lot of developers forget about, and they just see the dollar signs, maybe. I don't know. And I think that might be one of the things that could be going better. Let's just phrase it like that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's publisher pressure to implement systems that are negative, that have a negative sentiment from a player perspective, and they kind of get, in my opinion, I wonder if the industry is sort of caught up with this is how we have to do it, and all of these other games, yourself included, are coming along. It's like, well, you really don't. There is a path to success without introducing those particular systems.
Yes. What I also believe at the same time is that it's also times are changing. You can see a lot of big scale games, usually part 3, part 4, whatever, and they are heavily failing. And what I think is the biggest part to it is that people, the long-term horizon they're thinking is not big enough. For us, it has always been that we think the best marketing is a good game. And we also don't aim for our game to do well on release. Obviously, that's one of the goals, but our main goal is it's a long-term thing. We're in it for the long term, for the long run. It's not,
We have a runway.
yeah, it's not a marathon and not a sprint, it's a marathon, right?
Mm.
And so this also means that if you have I'm not going to say any names, but if you have a good game and you bring out another game that completely ruins your brand, then it's just gone forever. And it's really, really hard to come back from something like this. So
Yeah.
I believe that people should be a bit more aware and a bit more careful about what they do. And worst case, I mean, that's exactly the reason why we haven't publicly announced our release date yet, because we will just do so when we are very, 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 very certain that there will be an amazing game already at day one. I can tell you it's already amazing by now, but this is very, very important for us.
Yeah. You're on Transport Fever 3. So from 2 to 3, what did you hear from the community and then implement in 3 that addresses those concerns that you mentioned?
There's a lot of things, but I mean, it starts with the big features that you can see right away, as day and night cycle, as weather, workers for industries, boost mechanics. Something that was very big, for example, with our German community was train priorities, that your express train is actually able to be prioritized over cargo trains that are slowly moving on some parts of the track, right? So there's big things, there's small things, but I would say overall, it's really just giving even more meaning to the game itself. But in 2, you had a lot of times you had the situation where you just have all the money that you need and you can just do whatever you want. It's more like an entertain yourself now. As in this time, there's actually more reasoning behind the whole thing. And I believe that this comes from all these different small things being addressed with some nice eye candy and nice big features being added.
Um, One of my favorite things about the game, this might seem silly to you, it's the fact that you can zoom in super close to a lot of the locations
Yeah.
and just see what's going on in the city that you built, etc. Why do you think that's why do you think that's enticing to players? Like, do you find that a lot of players like that?
Yes. It's very fascinating because I know the first time that I played Transfer Fever, Train Fever, I was to say, I was like, oh wow, I can actually go that far in and
Yeah.
that far out, and it's still working, right?
Yeah.
And also seamlessly working. I don't know. I think that's just some kind of fascination that we have, that you're just able to watch these people go to work, and it's not just. I think it gives it a bit more of a reason, because you can actually see John going from A to B before you build the train line from A to B that John might be taking afterwards, which just gives a bit more of an actual validation and reason to your actions in the game.
What do you think people are really going to latch on to at Transport Fever 3? Like, what is going to be the thing that you imagine people might talk about
A lot of things I
besides the secret stuff? Or just tell all the secret stuff. That's fine too.
think we have these different kind of groups of players, right? That have different visions, and each of them is gonna have a different highlight feature. Let's just call it that way. But what I realized for myself is that even after having spent dozens and hundreds of hours with the game, I still discover some new things sometimes, or some new links, some new connections. And I believe that actually how much is also below the surface. Because I mean, the game looks great. The art team did absolutely amazing, but what lies underneath is at least as big in terms of changes, right? And these are the things that you cannot really see before you experience them. And I believe that this is going to be a big change. There might be some things where you need to get used to from 2 to 3, because they are thought a bit different. Some of them you can also just stay on the 2 settings and ignore the new things if you want to do that. But I feel that once you have done this transition, and that's also what we have seen with the beta tests so far, with the one that we had under NDA and closed, right? Is that actually people get used to it really fast, and then they accept it as, oh yeah, actually I've never looked at it this way. I think it's actually better this way. And this is also, so I believe that seeing how the whole thing has changed underneath is hopefully going to be a lot of conversation about.
Cool, cool. Well, I suppose what do you think is going to really shape the industry over the next 3 years? Like, what are we going to be looking at for Transport Fever 4 and just general industry thoughts in the future?
I think the main thing is going to be if we can continue the way that we do it now. As we already spoke about, I think that especially for big AAA studios, things need to change.
Yeah.
And they need to come back more to their roots. Think about what made our games great, right? And I can say that our management is in a lucky position that they have been doing exactly this for 10 years. And we truly believe in that the best marketing for a game is a good game.
Yeah.
And you can spend as much money on a game as you want to. It's worth so much more if you have an actual good product. That we should maybe come back to this. And then there's surely going to be things like AI and all of these kind of topics that are going to bring a lot of movement in the market. But I just believe that's evolutionary things that happen anyways every like 3 to 5 years, and you have new technology coming in and everything is being a big question. But I feel that if you are just focusing on what you're good at and you are focusing on a good product, you're always going to have a good situation, no matter where you are in terms of that.
Yeah, I agree. I do think I would love to see the industry get back to its roots a little bit and get less focused on profitability margins and monetization models. I think it would be wonderful to see the passion and the heart of the product be the driving force behind other
And I mean,
innovations.
you can even, let's just be very rude. Let's just go full financial. I think it's also better if you think in a pure financial profitable way that you have a long-term brand that is sustainable and that is working than doing a cash grab once, disappointing everything, destroying your brand for years and years and years, because then you have an issue afterwards. You're going to make more money in the short term, but in the long run, you're just gone and done, right?
Yeah.
And this happens so fast today that it's enough if a bit of a word spreads that your game is not good and you're done, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think we should go back to actually producing good games, and then a lot of problems would solve.
So you don't have a release date yet for Transport Fever 3, but sometime this year, can you give us a year? Do you have any inkling?
Yeah, the year is fixed on 2026,
All right.
but I cannot tell you when. All I can tell you is it's ready when it's ready, and it's going to be in a good state on that thing.
All right. Well, thanks for chatting with me a bit today.
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. All right. It's dinner time. They set up for us.
Good, yeah.
Dropped a few forks.
All right. That was a great interview, actually, and I am curious to see more of Transport Fever 3. If this is your kind of jam, apparently the last one was a big hit. I was surprised to learn more about the franchise as I played, but like, these sim games are nuts. When you go to Gamescom, stuff like Farm Simulator, as I said during the interview, it's just huge. All right, well, that's what I have. I don't want to belabor this video any longer. Thank you so much for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. A big thank you to the team who brought me out there to New York so that I could, do some personal stuff while I was there, and then go check out your game. Thank you so much. Hopefully I get to play a little bit more of it as it heads towards launch in 2026. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when my content goes live. I do greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much to the members, Chris Reddy, Brandon Cheruby, Jason, Marcus, Hargeet, and Shane Carroll, as well as everybody who supports. Thank you so much. Patreon.com/SaveStatePlus is the location that you can support easiest, or you can become a member here on YouTube. I'm going to get out of here, but you can check the last preview event I went to. I think it was Resident Evil. Check that out over here. I got a lot of cool stuff coming, y'all. I got some other events that I'll be telling you about soon. More on that later. Bye for now, everybody.